Some mysteries have haunted humanity for centuries, others remain unsolved today. Writings no one alive can read, civilizations that vanished overnight. A 500-year-old book that no linguist, cryptographer, or AI has decoded. 5 men drove into these mountains and were never seen alive again. A Boeing 777 carrying 239 people disappeared. We still don't know why. In 1977, a single signal from deep space was received and never heard again. America's most infamous unsolved murder, 78 years and counting. He hijacked a plane, took the ransom, and jumped into the dark, gone forever. In 1987, someone hijacked 2 live television broadcasts. Nobody was ever caught. The man who invented Bitcoin disappeared. No one knows who he really was. Flight 370, 239 people, no confirmed location of the main wreckage. And behind every mystery, the greatest unsolved question of all: what is consciousness? These are the 14 greatest unsolved mysteries in human history. We begin roughly 5,000 years ago in the ancient cities of the Indus Valley. Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, cities of over 40,000 people, left something behind. They left behind something no one has ever been able to understand. Thousands of seals like this were found, all carry the same undeciphered writing. Scholars have proposed over 100 theories about what these symbols mean. The problem? Most inscriptions are fewer than 5 symbols long. Without a bilingual text like the Rosetta Stone, decipherment may be impossible. The Indus civilization lasted 2,000 years and vanished silently. Was it a language, a system of numbers, religious symbols? We simply do not know. Some researchers believe it may not encode language at all, but something else entirely. No one alive has ever spoken this language. It may be the world's longest cold case. The symbols appear on pottery, tablets, and small amulets, yet refuse to yield meaning. In the absence of a key, every theory remains equally possible and equally unprovable. Even the direction the script reads, left to right, right to left, remains debated. Some inscriptions repeat certain symbols obsessively, as if following strict rules. The Indus people built plumbing, planned cities, and left a language we cannot hear. Over 4,000 objects bearing this script have been recovered, none decoded. Computational analysis has found statistical patterns consistent with real language, but not identified it. Unlike ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia, no Indus text has ever been found longer than 26 signs. The civilization covered an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. We know where they lived, how they built, what they traded, just not what they said. Decipherment attempts have come from India, Russia, Finland, and the United States, all inconclusive. Some scholars believe the civilization declined so gradually that no crisis ever produced bilingual documents. The mystery is not just linguistic, it is a silence 5,000 years old. 3 decades of computing power applied to the script has produced hypotheses, not answers. Until a bilingual key surfaces, the Indus Valley civilization will keep speaking only to itself. Session 3. Around 1200 BCE, something catastrophic happened across the entire ancient world. The Hittites, the Mycenaeans, the Egyptian New Kingdom, all collapsed within 50 years. Cities burned, palaces were destroyed, the writing vanished, commerce stopped. Archaeologists find evidence of burning, violence, and sudden abandonment everywhere at once. Egyptian records describe the Sea peoples, warriors who appeared from the sea and destroyed everything. But no single cause explains the scale, something far larger was at work. Climate evidence suggests a massive drought may have triggered famine and mass migration. The scale of the collapse was unprecedented. Nothing like it happened again for 3,000 years. The Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses III wrote of no land that could stand before the destroyers. Ugarit, one of the great port cities, burned so suddenly that bread was still in its ovens. Letters discovered at Ugarit cry for help, and the help never came. When the palace at Mycenae fell, the Linear B script disappeared with it for 4 centuries. The interconnected Bronze Age trade network was so fragile that one disruption cascaded everywhere. Copper from Cyprus, tin from Afghanistan, grain from Egypt, a supply chain that died overnight. The Hittite Empire, one of history's most powerful, vanished so completely its capital was forgotten. Historians call the aftermath the Greek Dark Ages. Populations collapsed by an estimated 70%. No single factor explains it. The leading theory, a perfect storm of drought, invasion, and systemic failure. New ocean floor sediment cores confirm a 3-century drought beginning precisely around 1200 BCE. Starving populations moved, moving populations destabilized neighbors, neighbors fought back, everyone fell. The Sea peoples themselves may have been refugees, driven west by the very collapse they helped cause. The Bronze Age was not just a time period, it was a level of civilizational complexity never seen before. When it ended, writing disappeared from Greece, iron replaced bronze, the world started over. Archaeologists can measure the silence. Sites simply stopped producing artifacts in the same sudden decade. Some cities were rebuilt, most were abandoned entirely, their ruins left to sand and centuries. The collapse reset the ancient world's political map so completely that nothing from before survived intact. We still argue about which factor struck first and whether any single cause can carry the blame. What happened in 1200 BCE is a warning. Complex civilizations can collapse, suddenly and completely. The Bronze Age collapse remains the largest civilizational failure in the ancient world's recorded history. Session 4. In a vault at Yale University sits one of the strangest books ever written. The Voynich Manuscript, 240 pages of completely unknown writing. It has structure, grammar-like patterns, a script that behaves like a language. The NSA tried to crack it. Brilliant cryptographers have spent careers on it, all failed. The book appears divided into sections: herbal, astronomical, biological, pharmaceutical. Carbon dating confirms it's real, written in the early 15th century. Is it an elaborate hoax, a medical guide, a mystical text, a cipher for secret knowledge? After 600 years, the Voynich Manuscript still refuses to give up its secrets. Its pages include astronomical charts, bathing women, and routes that match no known plant on Earth. The script flows naturally, no hesitations, no corrections, suggesting a fluent writer, not a forger. Researchers who spend years on the manuscript often confess they cannot rule anything in or out. A 2018 study claimed it was Proto-Romance language. The academic community was unconvinced. The ink and vellum are authentic to the 15th century. The content may be from any mind at all. Unlike other coded texts of the era, this one has resisted every cipher system ever invented. AI models trained on thousands of languages have found no match for its underlying structure. The biological section shows tubular organs, pools of liquid, and figures, none identified. It was discovered by antiquarian bookseller Wilfrid Voynich in 1912, who named it after himself. Emperor Rudolf II of the Holy Roman Empire supposedly paid a fortune for it in 1600. Its pre-Voynich history is a blank. Where it was between 1400 and 1600 is unknown. Some scholars argue it was a private alchemical text encoded to protect dangerous knowledge. Others believe it was the life's work of a brilliant eccentric, encoding a language only they knew. The hoax theory struggles against one fact: the statistical entropy of the text matches real language. Word frequency distributions, letter spacing, and line structure all suggest intentional meaning. The only thing more unsettling than a coded message is one that might mean nothing at all. Yale's Beinecke Rare Book Library now holds it, photographed, digitized, and still unread. Hundreds of thousands of amateur codebreakers have downloaded the manuscript. None have cracked it. 6 centuries of silence. The book waits patient on a shelf in New Haven, Connecticut. Whatever the Voynich manuscript contains, its author took the key with them to their grave. Session 5. In the summer of 1518, a woman stepped into the street in Strasbourg and started dancing. She danced for hours, then days, others joined her, then hundreds. Within weeks, the dancing plague had consumed hundreds of Strasbourg citizens. People danced until they collapsed. Some reportedly danced themselves to death. Authorities hired musicians, thinking more dancing would exhaust the sickness out of them. It only made it worse. By September, the plague had inexplicably ended. Was it ergot poisoning, mass hysteria, religious curse? We still argue about it today. Ergot, a mold that grows on rye, can cause hallucinations and uncontrolled muscle spasms. But ergot poisoning doesn't spread person to person, and this did. A 1518 chronicle describes the afflicted as crying out in agony even as they danced. Religious authorities blamed a curse from Saint Vitus and sent dancers to a saint's shrine. The dancing spread to neighboring towns before stopping as suddenly as it began. Historian John Waller spent years on this case and concluded mass psychogenic illness was most likely. Psychogenic illness emerges from extreme stress, and Strasbourg in 1518 was starving and plague-ridden. The human body, under profound collective terror, can produce physical symptoms with no biological cause. This is not the only episode. Similar plagues of involuntary movement occurred across medieval Europe. A 1374 event saw dancers march from town to town across Germany for weeks. Yet none of these explanations fully account for the reported deaths, which histories describe as real. The 1518 event lasted roughly 2 months. No modern outbreak of mass psychosis has lasted that long. Strasbourg recovered, the dancers stopped, and history recorded one of its strangest pages. Session 6, January 15, 1947, Limert Park, Los Angeles. Elizabeth Short, 22 years old, found murdered. The case shook the nation. The press called her the Black Dahlia. It became one of America's most infamous names. More than 150 suspects were questioned. No one was ever charged. Theories point to doctors, ex-lovers, Hollywood figures. None have ever been proven. The LAPD case remains officially open. 78 years later, no answer. Elizabeth Short's story became a symbol of Hollywood's darkest shadow. Elizabeth Short had moved to Los Angeles dreaming of the movies. She never made it. The crime scene showed signs of surgical precision, leading many to suspect a medical professional. A letter was sent to newspapers, supposedly from the killer, taunting investigators with clues. The letter was made of cut-up newsprint, and its author was never traced. LAPD records from the case include over 1 million pages of tips, letters, and confessions. Over 500 people confessed to the murder. None could provide details, only the killer would know. Steve Hodel, a retired LAPD detective, spent decades convinced his own father was responsible. His father, Dr. George Hodel, was a suspect in the original investigation and was never charged. Documents and audio recordings surfaced suggesting surveillance had been conducted on the elder Hodel, but evidence has never reached the threshold required for legal conclusion. The case has inspired dozens of books, films, and TV series and generated 0 confirmed answers. Los Angeles was a city of reinvention in 1947. It was also a city of deep, unseen violence. Elizabeth Short's family waited decades for answers that never came. She was buried in Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland. The case remained open the day of her burial. Every decade, new evidence is claimed. Every claim dissolves under scrutiny. The Black Dahlia case endures because it touches something profound, the erasure of a young woman's story. In 2025, the case file remained active at LAPD. No suspect has ever been officially named. Session 7, November 24, 1971, Portland International Airport.
I didn't see him leave.
A man calling himself Dan Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant. The note said, "I have a bomb."
This transmission is not encrypted.
The airline complied, $200,000 in ransom cash, 4 parachutes. Somewhere over the forests of southern Washington, he jumped. In 1980, a child found 3 bundles of the ransom money on the Columbia River bank. The FBI interviewed hundreds of suspects over 45 years. No match was ever confirmed. D.B. Cooper remains the only unsolved airline hijacking in American history.
Still no visual correlation.
Cooper's parachute jump was made at night in a rainstorm over terrain no one would choose. Investigators believe he may have landed in the Lewis River area, but no body was ever found. In 2016, the FBI formally closed the active investigation after 45 years. The $200,000 ransom in 1971 is equivalent to roughly $1.5 million today. Cooper's knowledge of aircraft procedures led early investigators to believe he had aviation experience. His calm demeanor during the hijacking suggested a trained professional or a very good actor. One parachute Cooper chose was a training chute, deliberately non-functional. Whether he knew remains unknown. Of the 4 parachutes offered, Cooper selected the non-steerable reserve. Was it a mistake? Experts calculated he would have landed somewhere in a 25-mile corridor, in complete darkness. The $500 to $800 in degraded bills found in 1980 showed signs of being buried or washed, not spent. Some researchers believe Cooper died on impact. Others believe he lived out his days in anonymity. More than 1,000 suspects were investigated. None were ever charged. The hijacking prompted the introduction of security screening at all American airports. Before D.B. Cooper, no American airport required passengers to pass through a metal detector. The alias Dan Cooper was never satisfactorily explained. It appeared in a Belgian comic book. Airlines modified Boeing 77 aircraft after Cooper's jump. The Cooper vane prevents rear door opening in flight. Only one person ever collected a ransom in a US aircraft hijacking and was never caught. His face, reconstructed from flight attendant descriptions, looks ordinary. Anyone, no one. The mystery of D.B. Cooper is not just who he was, it's how a person vanishes so completely. 40 minutes in the air, $200,000, 1 parachute, and then nothing. Session 8, August 15, 1977, Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope. Astronomer Jerry Emmon reviewed the data and wrote a single word in the margin: "Wow." The signal lasted 72 seconds. It was 30 times stronger than background noise. It came from the direction of Sagittarius, and its frequency matched what scientists believe an alien civilization would use. It had all the hallmarks of an artificial transmission, and it was never heard again. Dozens of follow-up attempts over 40 years have detected nothing. Was it a comet, interference, or something that was trying to reach us once? The signal bore all the characteristics astronomers had theorized an alien broadcast would carry. Its narrowband frequency matched the hydrogen line, the universal frequency of the cosmos. No natural phenomenon has been found that adequately explains the signal's precise characteristics. In 2016, a team detected a similar signal from a sun-like star, but it was later attributed to interference. The Big Ear telescope that detected it was demolished in 1998 to build a golf course. Jerry Eman himself remained cautious. "I am still waiting for a second WOW signal," he said. The signal lasted the exact duration the telescope's rotation would allow, consistent with a fixed source. SETI researchers have trained dozens of telescopes on the same region of sky, silence every time. Some researchers argue that one signal is statistically insufficient to conclude anything, including alien life. Others argue that the odds of a random natural event producing this exact signature are vanishingly small. The WOW signal is the single most compelling candidate for extraterrestrial contact ever detected, and it remains decades later the only one. In 2012, on the signal's 35th anniversary, a message was transmitted back towards Sagittarius. The message carried tweets from thousands of people. No reply has been received. The universe is 13 billion years old. We have been listening for less than a century. Perhaps the WOW signal was a greeting. Perhaps it was a mistake. Perhaps it was all we'll ever get. Somewhere out there, 72 seconds of meaning may still be traveling, unanswered. Session 9, February 24, 1978, Plumas National Forest, California. 5 men attended a basketball game. Their car was found here, abandoned, undamaged, engine working. Their footprints went into the forest. Why they left the car has never been explained. One of the men was found in a forest trailer months later, starved despite having food nearby. 4 of the 5 men's remains were eventually found. 1 was never located. The Yuba County 5 case remains unexplained. Why they walked into that forest, unknown. The men ranged from age 24 to 32, all had varying degrees of intellectual disability. None had survival training, none were dressed for winter, none had a reason anyone could explain. One man, Gary Mathias, was never found. His fate remains completely unknown. A camp trailer 8 miles from their car had been recently inhabited, footprints, supplies disturbed. Food was available in the trailer. Whoever stayed there chose not to eat it. The game they attended, UC Davis basketball, ended normally. They left the arena and drove the wrong way. Their car was found stuck in snow, headlights still on, engine still running. There were no signs of struggle, no evidence of a third party, only unexplained choices. Investigators found no alcohol, no drugs, no indication of foul play. The nearest town was 40 miles away. None of the men reached it. A theory called highway hypnosis has been proposed, but it explains nothing about their 4-mile walk into the forest. The families of the men spent years demanding answers from authorities who had none to give. Podcasts, documentaries, and online investigators have revisited the case for decades. The core mystery holds. 5 men drove into a mountain on a winter night and walked into the dark. No one knows why. Session 10, September 22, 1979, above the South Atlantic Ocean. An American Vela satellite designed to detect nuclear tests detected a double flash. The signature matched a nuclear explosion. The official panel called it a sensor malfunction. But seismic readings, atmospheric data, and radioactive iodine found in Australian sheep suggested otherwise. Most analysts believe it was a joint South African-Israeli nuclear test. Neither country has ever admitted it. The Vela Incident remains one of history's most controversial nuclear secrets. The double flash lasted less than a millisecond, exactly the signature of a nuclear detonation. South Africa had a nuclear weapons program in the 1970s. Israel has never confirmed its nuclear arsenal. The Carter administration commissioned a panel that concluded sensor malfunction, but not all scientists agreed. A 1994 CIA memo, since declassified, stated with confidence it was a nuclear test. The test, if real, would mean a nation conducted an illegal atmospheric nuclear detonation undetected. Hydroacoustic signals recorded by undersea sensors are consistent with a detonation in the South Atlantic. In 2010, South Africa officially declared it had dismantled its nuclear arsenal, which it had admitted building. The Vela satellite had correctly identified 41 nuclear tests before the disputed event. The 42nd detection, the one that matters most, remains officially unresolved. It is either the most elaborate sensor malfunction in space history or a secret that was kept perfectly. Session 11, November 22, 1987, Chicago. 2 TV stations were about to be hijacked. For 90 seconds, a masked figure hijacked a live Doctor Who broadcast. The hijacker waved a rubber glove, mocked a local sportscaster, and exposed their bare backside. The FCC and FBI investigated. The hijacker was never identified. The Max Headroom incident remains the only unsolved signal piracy case of its kind, a surreal ghost in the broadcast. Signal piracy of this kind requires expensive, specialized broadcast equipment not available in most homes. The first intrusion interrupted sports anchor Dan Roan's commentary on WGN for 30 seconds. The second intrusion on WTW lasted 90 seconds and included a spanking with a fly swatter. Engineers at both stations scrambled frantically, but couldn't locate the rogue transmitter in time. The FCC investigated and offered a $100,000 reward. The perpetrators were never found. In 2010, investigators reopened the case. They believed the culprits lived in the Chicago area. Some observers noticed the costume and script suggested insider knowledge of local broadcast culture. The technical skill required, blocking a powerful TV signal, points to someone with professional training. Broadcast engineers who analyzed the footage estimated it required a directional antenna and a kilowatt transmitter. The broadcast was deliberately strange, absurdist referential, almost like a performance art piece. Whoever they were, they vanished completely, leaving behind only 36 seconds of television history. Session 12, 2 disappearances, one a person, one an identity. Shelly Miscavige, wife of Scientology's leader, was last seen publicly in August 2007. A missing person report was filed in 2013. The LAPD said they'd seen her, no further details. Her location has never been publicly disclosed. Critics say she's being held in a church facility. And then there's Satoshi Nakamoto, the person or people who created Bitcoin. In 2011, Nakamoto sent a final email saying they had moved on to other things and vanished. Nakamoto holds over 1 million Bitcoin, worth billions of dollars. None of it has ever been touched. The creator of the most disruptive financial invention in history is nobody we can find. In Shelly Miscavige's case, a real woman may be unreachable to those who love her. In Satoshi Nakamoto's case, a real person created a trillion-dollar system, then chose to disappear. Shelly Miscavige's sister has spoken publicly about years of unanswered questions and no family contact. Satoshi Nakamoto's last known post on a Bitcoin forum was in December 2010. Both disappeared from public view at a point of maximum consequence, when it mattered most. Shelly's case asks, can an institution silence a person so completely that the world simply accepts it? Satoshi's case asks, can one person reshape global finance and choose voluntarily to be no one? The Bitcoin Nakamoto holds has never moved. It sits in wallets untouched, worth billions. If Nakamoto is alive and moves those coins, it will instantly be detected and may never happen. Journalists, researchers, and governments have attempted to identify Nakamoto. All have failed conclusively. Craig Wright claimed in 2016 to be Nakamoto. Courts have repeatedly ruled against him. Shelly's case raises questions about the legal power of closed institutions over their members. Satoshi's case raises questions about whether anonymity can survive the invention of the internet. One mystery is human and personal, one is philosophical and global. Both remain completely open. Neither mystery has produced a single verified document, communication, or sighting since the disappearance. In both cases, the silence is the statement, and we still don't know what it means. Session 13, January 4, 2012. An anonymous image appeared online. A puzzle had begun. The puzzle led solvers across the internet into cryptography, philosophy, ancient texts, and real-world locations. Physical clues appeared in cities across the world: Warsaw, Paris, Seattle, New Orleans. Cicada 3301 required expertise in cryptography, steganography, number theory, and classical literature simultaneously. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. March 8, 2014. A Boeing 777 with 209 people aboard vanished. The search area covered millions of square kilometers. After years, most of the aircraft was never found. In 2015, a wing fragment washed ashore, confirmed as MH370, but it answered nothing. 239 people. Their families still have no answer. The puzzle appeared on 4chan anonymously and attracted some of the internet's sharpest minds. Early solvers found phone numbers hidden in prime number sequences buried in image metadata. One stage required knowledge of medieval Welsh poetry, another required physical travel to a GPS coordinate. Solvers who reached the final stage reported receiving contact and then going silent about what they found. It's unknown whether Cicada 3301 was a recruitment tool, an art project, or something else entirely. No organization has ever officially claimed responsibility for creating Cicada 3301. 3 separate puzzles appeared in 2012, 2013, and 2014. Then, nothing. Whoever created it had access to global infrastructure, cryptographic expertise, and unusual patience. MH370 vanished from radar 90 minutes after takeoff, following a deliberate course change. Military radar tracked a plane believed to be MH370 flying northwest for hours after contact was lost. Satellite handshakes from the plane's system suggest it flew for 7 hours after the transponder switched off. The southern Indian Ocean search covered an area larger than some countries. Nothing definitive was found. 17 pieces of debris confirmed as MH370 have been found on beaches from Mozambique to Reunion Island. Each fragment confirmed the plane crashed, but gave no answer about where the main wreckage lies. 239 families have spent years with no body, no wreckage, and no official conclusion. An independent investigation team continues to argue the primary search area was in the wrong location. The black box, if found, could answer everything. It has not been found. MH370 is the most expensive aviation search in history. It may never reach a conclusion. Some of the world's best aviation analysts have dedicated years to this case. The mystery holds. These two mysteries, one digital, one physical, remind us that some things vanish completely. Session 14, and now we arrive at the greatest mystery of all. Human consciousness. We cannot explain why physical processes create subjective experience. Why does the brain, 3 pounds of wet tissue, generate the feeling of being? 8 billion minds, each one a universe of experience that no other mind can ever fully enter. This mystery may never be solved. It may not be the kind of problem that admits a solution. Some mysteries endure not because we haven't tried hard enough, but because the universe keeps secrets. From 5,000 years ago to last decade, mysteries persist across every era of human civilization. Maybe that is why we cannot stop looking. The mystery itself is the point. We remain curious, we remain searching. That at least is something we know for certain. If you found value in this exploration, a like and subscribe means more than you'd think. 2 more mysteries are waiting for you right now. The investigation continues. Science can describe the brain's activity in exquisite detail, but not why that activity feels like anything. Philosopher David Chalmers named it the hard problem in 1995. It remains unsolved. No theory of consciousness has achieved scientific consensus. Every framework leaves something unexplained. We are the universe becoming aware of itself, and we still don't know how.